More than 30 Russian armored vehicles were destroyed within 48 hours in a single stretch of Donetsk, a loss so severe that even Western defense analysts called it one of the most lopsided ambushes of the war. Satellite images and combat footage show Ukrainian Leopard 2 and T-64 tanks working hand-in-hand with scout drones, striking with precision from hidden positions and hitting targets exactly where Russian armor was blind. Every blast marked not just another vehicle lost, but another proof that low-cost technology can overpower high-priced firepower when coordination is flawless. This battle was small on the map, but massive in meaning. It revealed how drones now serve as the brain of the battlefield, turning each tank into an eye-guided hunter rather than a lone machine of steel. And as the smoke clears over Donetsk, the question spreads far beyond Ukraine's front line. Has modern warfare entered an age where sensors and data decide who wins before a single shell is fired? For Russia, the danger goes deeper than burned vehicles. If every advance can be watched, mapped, and struck from above, how can armor survive in a world where the sky itself has become the enemy's weapon? Fighting erupted along the southern rim of Donetsk, where Russian forces poured in heavy mechanized units to punch a hole through Ukrainian lines and kick off their big breakthrough push. Commanders in Moscow aimed to smash past defensive barriers, grab key roads, and roll straight toward vital supply hubs, betting that sheer numbers would overwhelm the defenders. Ukrainian troops spotted the buildup early, so they dug in deep with a smart mix of firepower and eyes in the sky. Leopard 2 tanks from the 33rd Brigade hunkered down behind low tree cover, their long 120mm guns ready to roar, while T-64 crews from the 47th took spots in shallow ditches, loading high explosive rounds for close work. Bradley fighting vehicles rolled up next, their 25mm chain guns spinning up and tow missiles locked on distant threats. These machines did not stand alone. Recon drones buzzed high above, feeding live video feeds back to command posts, creating a web that spotted enemy moves from 3 miles out. Russian scouts pushed forward first, probing with a dozen BTRs loaded with infantry, but the drones caught them cold, relaying grid coordinates in seconds. Artillery shells rained down right away, blasting the lead vehicles into twisted scrap and forcing the rest to scatter. As the main column lumbered in, over 8 vehicles strong, including T-80 tanks and BMP carriers, the trap snapped shut. A Leopard crew waited behind a bombed-out farmhouse. When the first Russian tank crested a rise, they fired once, and the shell punched through the turret side, igniting fuel tanks in a massive orange blast that lit up the dusk. Crews bailed out, only to face machine gun bursts from nearby Bradleys. Another T-64, hidden in a gully lined with bushes, zeroed in on an APC trying to flank left. 2 quick shots later, the vehicle flipped over, blocking the road and sowing panic in the pack behind it. Ukrainian spotters called in cluster rounds from howitzers, attacking exposed troops as they dismounted. The Ministry of Defense in Kyiv confirmed the scale, with media reports from October 2025 noting Russia threw in more than 50 pieces of armor this month, from hulking MT-LBS, hauling ammo to fast MT, 12 anti-tank guns towed by trucks, and lost almost 20 in a day. Yet the advance ground to a halt just 500 yards from the tree line. Dense minefields stretched ahead, planted weeks earlier with anti-tank stakes and pressure plates that claimed 3 vehicles in the opening minutes. Tires popped, tracks snapped, and engines stalled under fire. Ukrainian engineers had laced the ground with TM-89 blasts, each one hurling shrapnel that shredded underbellies and forced survivors to abandon gear. The goal stayed crystal clear: block that armored wave from crossing into Volnovakha's outskirts, a quiet town of 20,000 now turned ghost, where roads fed straight to Kramatorsk and beyond. If Russians broke through, they could cut supply lines to 3 brigades, starving out positions and opening a 10-mile gap. Leopard gunners held their fire for prime angles, letting drones pick the perfect moment. One Bradley crew even reversed under smoke cover, popping up to nail a straggling T-72 from 1,800 yards with a wire-guided missile that streaked low over the mud. Flames shot 30 feet high, and the convoy bunched up, easy pickings for follow-up barrages. Russian drivers swerved wildly, some plowing into ditches, others reversing into their own lines, but the net tightened. Infantry poured out, only to get pinned by Bradley's suppressive fire, their RPGs falling short in the rain-soaked earth. This setup turned a routine assault into a slaughter pen, proving that effective strategy plus watchful drones beat brute force every time. As both sides took a break, the push faltered, leaving smoking hulks as markers of Moscow's stalled dream. Recon drones became the beating heart of Ukrainian fire control, launching from rear positions and beaming exact locations through secure Link 16 channels to build flawless kill zones ahead of every Russian move. These small aircraft climbed to 1,500 feet, their cameras scanning wide fields in high definition, and operators back at Secret Command Bunker watched screens light up with enemy icons the instant tracks crossed marked lines. Data was sent to tank crews in under 5 seconds, painting red boxes around targets and flashing range numbers on gunner sights. A Leopard team crouched behind a low ridge received the first ping. The lead T-64 appeared at 1,900 meters, turret swinging left, and the commander called fire, while the loader slammed home a fresh round. The barrel recoiled, the shell streaked out, and impact tore the Russian hull open in a shower of sparks. 2 more shots followed fast, one missing wide, but the second ripping through the engine deck and halting the beast dead. Drone feeds kept streaming, zooming in on smoke plumes to confirm kills and adjust aim for the next wave. Another unit with a T-64 pair nestled in a shallow ravine got coordinates for 3 BMPs bunched together. The first gunner squeezed off a round that punched the center vehicle's side armor, fuel ignited instantly, and flames spread to the others as crews scrambled out. Bradley gunners joined the chorus, their thermal optics locking on heat signatures through morning mist, and tow wires unspooled toward distant silhouettes. Each explosion registered on the drone's live map, green check marks replacing red threats as artillery adjusted for stragglers. The system never paused. When a Russian anti-tank team unfolded a Kornet launcher on a tree line edge, the drone's infrared lens caught the heat bloom of the missile tube, and an alert flashed to nearby Leopards. Engines revved, treads churned earth, and the tank slid sideways behind concrete rubble just as the missile streaked past, detonating harmlessly against a birch trunk. That split-second warning saved 3 crews and let them swing barrels back toward the launch site. Recon birds flew overlapping orbits, one handing off to another as batteries swapped, keeping the sky saturated with eyes. Ground controllers prioritized high-value targets, command variants with extra antennas first, ensuring every shell counted. Russian drivers tried smoke pots and erratic zigzags, yet the drones adjusted altitude, peered through gaps, and kept the feed crystal clear. This constant loop of spot, transmit, and shoot shrank reaction time to mere heartbeats, turning open ground into a shooting gallery. Ukrainian forces held the data edge, and every ping from above dictated the ground forces' next move on the battlefield. Russian anti-tank teams tried to turn the tide with Kornet and Konkurs missiles fired from forest edges, yet most warheads veered off course or slammed into trees and dirt, leaving Ukrainian armor untouched and ready to strike back. Soldiers in camouflaged pits spotted the incoming threat through thermal scopes, but their launchers took too long to align after the initial chaos from earlier barrages. A Kornet crew near a pine cluster locked onto a Bradley silhouette at 2,500 meters. The missile whooshed out, guidance wire trailing, and the operator steered hard, but the projectile dipped low and exploded against a fallen log 300 meters short. Another team with a Conqueror system aimed at a Leopard hull peeking from rubble. The shot climbed high, then nosedived into soft ground, kicking up mud instead of steel. This wasn't the first time precision-guided missiles missed their marks. U.S. officials reported in 2023 that Russian cruise missile failure rates had climbed as high as 60%, with some types failing to launch, crashing shortly after takeoff, or missing targets entirely. Ukrainian crews stayed one step ahead thanks to instant alerts piped from orbiting drones, combined with rapid smoke deployment and sharp vehicle maneuvers that broke lock-on attempts. A Leopard commander heard the warning tone in his headset, yelled, and the turret popped canisters that bloomed white clouds in seconds. The tank lurched sideways on its tracks, disappearing behind the haze just as a Cornet streaked through where it had stood. Bradley drivers executed similar drills, reversing fast under cover while gunners kept barrels trained outward. This quick shuffle denied Russian operators the steady target they needed for wire-guided control. Moscow's sensor-to-shooter chain dragged painfully slow. Spotters radioed positions, commanders approved shots, and launchers finally fired, often minutes after Ukrainian units had already shifted. One Russian squad managed a clean launch from a ditch. The missile flew true for 1,000 meters. Then, a sudden drone-directed smoke wall rose, and the warhead detonated blindly against a concrete slab. Stats from the 47th Brigade show many Cornet and Conquerors attempts in a single afternoon, with only 8 coming within 50 meters of any hull, and just 2 causing minor track damage that crews repaired overnight. Ukrainian electronic warfare pods jammed guidance frequencies on several occasions, sending missiles into wild spirals that crashed harmlessly into fields. A recon drone spotted a Cornet team unfolding their launcher, dropped a small explosive payload right onto the tube, and the missile cooked off in a violent flash that wrecked the whole setup. Russian infantry tried to close the gap on foot with RPGs, but open ground left them exposed to Bradley 25mm bursts that stitched lines across the dirt. The failure rate climbed higher when rain slickened launch rails, causing misfires or early drops. Command posts in Kyiv noted that Russian anti-tank doctrine still relied on static positions, mostly because of fear of minefield, while Ukrainian forces practiced constant relocation drills every 15 minutes. A single Leopard platoon evaded 4 separate missile salvos in under an hour by sliding between ruined farm buildings, each move guided by fresh drone vectors. The tactical breakdown revealed a fatal lag. Russian gunners needed 45 seconds from target confirmation to launch, but Ukrainian vehicles changed bearing in half that time. Smoke grenades not only obscured vision but also confused infrared seekers on newer Cornet variants. This pattern forced Russian commanders to pull anti-tank units back, fearing counter-battery fire that arrived before they could reload. The battlefield math turned brutal. Every missed shot wasted a $20,000 missile and exposed the crew to immediate retaliation. Ukrainian gunners capitalized, picking off launchers with high explosive fragmentation rounds that scattered teams into the underbrush. As dusk settled, spent missile tubes littered the forest floor, silent witnesses to a counterattack that never landed. FPV drones swooped in to deliver the final blow once Russian vehicles sat crippled and burning, diving straight at engine covers and crew hatches to ensure no recovery or retreat. These small, pilot-controlled craft launched from portable racks just behind the front, their electric motors whining as operators in bunkers guided them through tablet screens linked to live goggles. A damaged T-80 limped away trailing smoke. One FPV banked hard, slammed into the rear grille, and the explosion ripped open fuel lines, sending the tank lurching into a ditch where it settled forever. Another BMP, turret jammed from an earlier hit, tried to reverse. 2 drones streaked in tandem, one striking the driver's viewport and the second punching through thin roof armor, igniting stored grenades in a chain of blasts that lifted the hull off the ground. footage released by the 47th Brigade captured a frantic scene. Two FPV drones converged on a single T-90M already missing a track, operators coordinating in a chat channel to assign angles. These FPV drones struck the engine deck in quick succession. The crew popped hatches and sprinted into the trees as secondary detonations cooked off main gun rounds. Each drone carried a shaped charge warhead no bigger than a soda can, yet the cumulative effect turned a $4.5 million machine into scrap in under 30 seconds. Cost sheets tell the story clearly. Ukraine builds these FPV systems for around $500 apiece, including frame, battery, camera, and explosive payload. While the T-90M rolls off the line at over $4 million, proving that low-budget swarms can gut high-price armor without risking a single soldier. Brigade logs from October 2025 record 43 confirmed vehicle kills by FPV alone in the Donetsk pocket, with 28 tagged as total losses and 15 left immobile for later salvage. Operators nicknamed the craft unmanned finishers because they end fights from safe distance. Tank crews stay buttoned up in hull-down positions, staying safe while drones do the hard work. A Bradley team watched their screen as an FPV chased a fleeing Russian crew across 200 yards of open field, diving into a shallow trench and silencing the group before they could regroup. Fiber optic cables now replace radio links on newer models, making them immune to most jamming and allowing pinpoint runs even under heavy electronic noise. Pilots train on simulators for 2 weeks, then fly real missions from shipping containers turned control stations, each shift handling up to 12 drones before battery swaps. The 47th alone fields over 200 active FPV units, rotating fresh batches daily from 3D print shops near Kharkiv. Russian forces tried countermeasures, nets over turrets, shotgun teams on rooftops, but the drones fly low and fast, skimming grass at 60 miles per hour, too quick for manual aim. One T-72 crew draped camouflage mesh, yet FPVs slipped underneath, one detonating against the belly plate and flipping the 46-ton beast onto its side. Ground troops mark wrecks with orange tape so follow-up drones avoid wasted runs, maximizing every launch. The psychological impact spreads fast. Russian radio chatter reveals crews hesitating to advance, citing those damn kamikaze bees that hunt the wounded. Ukrainian commanders now pair FPV teams with artillery spotters, calling strikes only after drones confirm no friendlies nearby. A single operator in the 82nd Brigade claimed 4 kills in one afternoon, guiding drones through broken windows of abandoned farms to reach parked MTLBS. The cost-efficiency ratio stands at 1 to 8,000, $500 versus $4 million, turning defense budgets into lethal math. As smoke cleared over the latest graveyard of steel, the message rang out. Battles end not with a bang from a main gun, but with the quiet buzz of a plastic propeller sealing the fate of giants. Ukrainian troops reclaimed dozens of Russian BMPs and BTRs, left nearly intact on the battlefield, hauling them back to repair yards and pressing the captured hardware into service within days to bolster their own lines. Mechanics in forward depots stripped off enemy markings, welded on fresh reactive bricks, and swapped out radios for NATO standard sets, turning former foes into frontline assets. A convoy of 3 BTR-82A wheeled carriers rolled out of a hidden workshop near Pokrovsk just 72 hours after recovery. Crews from the 82nd Brigade had found them abandoned with engines still warm, keys dangling, and only minor shrapnel dents from nearby blasts. Drone pilots had knocked out the original drivers with precise strikes on vision slits, forcing the rest to flee on foot into the night. Soldiers slapped blue and yellow tape across the hulls, loaded 30mm ammo belts, and sent the vehicles straight back into the fight against their former owners. The 82nd alone logged 3 fully operational BTR-82, as added to its roster in October 2025, each now carrying infantry squads to hotspots faster than foot marches ever could. Frontline reports list 27 Russian armored carriers and fighting vehicles seized across Donetsk since the start of the month, with 19 returned to duty after quick fixes. Welders patched hull breaches in under 6 hours, electricians rewired control panels, and gunners test-fired main cannons on nearby ranges before dawn patrols. This rapid turnaround stretched Ukrainian resources without waiting for new shipments from overseas. Captured T-62 tanks received similar treatment. Fuel tanks topped off, tracks tightened, and turrets traversed to confirm 115mm guns still cycled smoothly. The psychological blow hit Russian units hard. Radio intercepts revealed crews hesitating to advance, fearing their own machines would soon fire back under different flags. Commanders in Moscow scrambled to issue stricter retreat protocols, but the damage spread. Ukrainian propaganda units broadcast footage of captured tanks rolling past burning comrades, further eroding trust in the chain of command. Each reclaimed vehicle denies Russia a platform while granting Kyiv extra firepower at zero cost. Salvage teams operate under drone cover, moving at dusk with flatbed trucks and winches to drag hulks clear of minefields. One night operation near Volnovakha pulled 4 BMP-3s in a single sweep. Engineers replaced blown optics with spares from storage and had them patrolling by morning. Fuel efficiency improved too. Russian diesel stocks left in tanks fed Ukrainian engines for weeks. The 47th Brigade now fields a mixed platoon of 2 Leopards, 1 T-64, and 3 captured MT-LBS, creating flexible strike groups that confuse enemy targeting. Logistics officers calculate that every recovered carrier saves $1.2 million in replacement costs and keeps 12 soldiers in the fight longer. Russian supply officers face nightmares. Convoys hesitate to push forward, knowing abandoned gear strengthens the opponent. Intercepted orders demand crews destroy equipment before withdrawal, yet panic often leaves explosives unfired. Ukrainian sappers disarm booby traps in minutes, then tow prizes away. The broader ripple reaches Moscow's war planning. Fewer platforms mean thinner reserves for future offensives. Kyiv's repair network now processes 10 vehicles weekly, with mobile workshops on truck beds following the front. Soldiers nickname the reborn fleet Frankenstein's Ride, a grim joke that masks pride in outsmarting a larger foe. The CSIS assessment rings true across the theater. Superior data flow and quick adaptation turn enemy losses into Ukrainian gains, shifting momentum without extra budgets. As winter looms, every salvaged hull becomes a shield against the cold and a spear for the spring. The Donetsk ambush just rewrote modern war. Tanks and drones now fight as one brain, where data calls the shots before the first shell ever leaves the barrel. Russia lost dozens of vehicles in hours, yet the real wound runs deeper. They've surrendered control of the digital battlefield, watching their own machines burn while Ukraine pulls the strings from miles away. This clash proves the new race is all about speed. Spot faster, shoot quicker, spend smarter, and you own the day. So if Ukraine has turned 500 drones into the 21st century's deadliest weapon, what's Moscow's next move? AI swarms, electronic blackout tricks, or a whole new playbook? Drop your take below. Who truly rules the fight? The side with more steel, or the one with eyes everywhere? Hit like, share with your crew, and hit subscribe to Military Force for the next frontline shock.